Hey guys, I'm Steve. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. If it's your first time stopping by the channel, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't regret it. You're a returning subscriber. As always, guys, welcome back, and I do appreciate the support. Guys, I want to talk to you about a story, man, that you got to hear to believe. And this right here is very hard to listen to, but it's a reality out here. There are a lot of people in the funeral home industry as of late have been coming up under scrutiny for doing some unsavory practices, especially in regards of loved ones left in their care. Today I'm going to talk about this place here. This is Snelling Funeral Home in Chesapeake, Virginia, I guess. And they are getting slapped with a mega lawsuit. And the reason why is because in, let me see, May of 2022, I got the article up here. May 2nd, 2022, this young man that you see right here, his name is Torian Williams. Now, they don't say his age, but you can tell he's a younger guy. He lost control of his car and spun off the side of the road and flipped over and died. He wound up losing his life. May he rest in peace. Mr. Williams was trusted to the funeral home, Snelling's funeral home, for his care. Well, during an open casket viewing, friends and family are there. The following happens, and trust me, it's very hard to listen to.
A family is suing a funeral home after they say they were disgusted with how their loved one was presented during a viewing. This happened back in 2022. 10 on Your Side's Andy Fox has the story only on 10. Andy, some of these details are extremely disturbing.
Oh, Regina, they sure are, and they're all outlined in this lawsuit that we will post online. It is a very interesting read. It outlines step by step how the funeral visitation viewing allegedly went wrong.
It's my understanding that he was coming off the exit and lost control and the car hit here and flipped and landed back there.
Tiffany Barnhart's nephew was Torian Williams, who died May 2nd, 2022. 7 days later, his open casket viewing here at Snelling's funeral home created such a nightmare, the family hired attorney Kevin Sharp.
They provided this family with a grotesque freak show. Maggots pouring out of this young man's nose, maggots in his mouth, on his face.
Torian's mother has filed a lawsuit. Her sister, Tiffany Barnhart.
I just remember my sister screaming. I remember the lady placing her hand on her, telling her not to make a scene.
And she was mortified by the way they reacted. They almost seemed to say, you don't overreact here. You're the one to blame, not what they had done to her son.
The lawsuit alleges in some ways the family has lost Tabitha, who now experiences nightmares, trauma, sleeplessness, flashback, anxiety, depression, nausea, humiliation, embarrassment, grief, and horror. We went to Snelling's funeral home, met by Denise McGee.
This is something you need to contact Holloman and Brown at Tidewater Drive because we're owned by Holloman and Brown.
Holloman Brown Funeral Home's Casey Jones sent this. The unexpected passing of Torian Williams is tragic, and we extend our sincere condolences to his family. However, because the events following his death are the subject of ongoing litigation, we do not believe it is appropriate to comment publicly at this time. We would have asked, how did this maggot infestation happen? Attorney Sharp thinks this will come out at trial.
They received his body, and they did not properly clean and disinfect his body. And then he went through the embalming process. That was improper.
And that's mentioned in the lawsuit as well. This case is set to be heard in Chesapeake Civil Court, 8:30 on July 28th. The court is expecting to have a 3-day jury trial. I'm Andy Fox, 10 on Your Side.
Guys, I got this legal paperwork up here, and this one part I want you to see before I go into commentary. It says May 2nd he crashed and he was turned over to them on he passed away on May 2nd. Torian Williams passed away. It says following the death of Torian Williams, the plaintiff and her family retained the services of defendants, which is Snelling Funeral Home, on or about May 2nd. So they called the funeral home the day he died. to prepare Torian's body for funeral services and provide funeral services related to the same. In conjunction with this arrangement, the plaintiff and her family made arrangement with the defendants for funeral service and open casket viewing at defendant's Chesapeake Funeral Home. Plaintiff made a down payment of $3,000 for these services, which include sanitary care and dressing of said body. On May 9th, 2022, defendants arranged for a viewing of Torian Williams' body. At the same time, plaintiff and numerous friends and family of Torian would attend. Upon arrival, plaintiffs noticed the doors of the facility were open to the outside, and the facility in general, particularly the room where Torian was being prepared, was very warm. At the time, plaintiff, her family, and friends arrived at the location of the defendants. As mourners approached the body of Torian Williams, this is when it gets crazy. These people and plaintiff noticed that Torian's body, particularly his face, nose, and mouth, were covered with and consumed by clumps of maggots. The maggots had been on and in Torian's body for a significant period of time and had been purposely ignored the day of Torian Williams' service. In addition to the affirmation, the maggots had burrowed into holes in his cheek and mouth, and that had not existed previously, and were infested with large clumps of moving and visible maggots both on the skin and under the skin. Lord have mercy. Plaintiff, her family, and friends experienced shock and horror at the grotesque display of the body of Torian Williams, and plaintiff experienced extreme emotional disturbance. Watch this part. An employee at Snelling Funeral Home approached the casket, placed her hands on the plaintiff's mouth, and explained, "Don't you make a scene." What? A male employee of the defendants came to the casket and after viewing the body stated, "Flies got to him." Defendants failed to adequately prepare, preserve, and inspect the body of Torian Williams prior to the aforementioned viewing. As a result of these failures, the body of Torian was displayed in a grotesque fashion. Can you believe that shit? Had holes in his cheeks. Said the maggots were swimming under his skin and on his skin, so you could see his skin moving. They didn't fix the holes in his face. He was being prepared in a room that was warm. They knew he was infested with maggots. I guess they got the ones that they could get and then hoped and prayed for the best and thought nothing else was going to come out. Why you didn't disinfect the body and do the embalming and all that stuff? How long did they have the thing? You was notified the day he died. What was that, May 2nd? May 9th, you had to buy. I'm more than sure you had 3 or 4 days to prepare for this. I think these people was neglectful and they have a right to get sued. I'm going to be honest with you. People don't play when it comes to their loved ones, especially a child. This is a younger man. You know what I'm saying? And he wasn't a bad looking guy. Looked like he was a good kid. So you know people coming in with all kind of sorrows of how sad it is because he was such a good person to them. And then see him look like he looked like Walking Dead or something like that. You got this man dressed out in a suit with bugs on his face. Like, Maggot, are you fucking stupid? This is the reality that's out here. Some people look at this shit like a 9 to 5. They take the whole emotional detachment out of it, and that's your proof. Guy runs up. Hey, all the flies got to him. People are falling out and crying and screaming. Then the other lady, shh, don't say nothing. Shh, don't make a scene. Don't make a scene. That's not something you see every day. A lot of people get queasy and weary when they get near a dead body, whether it looks fully preserved in a good way or not. That's death right there. People don't want to be around it sometimes. It makes people nervous. And then to see it like that, man, it's crazy. Man, yo, I feel bad for the family. You know what I'm saying? And something should happen to the funeral home. Look at this. It said, without limitation, the defendants failed to preserve, prepare, and display the body in the following manner. Look at all these rules. They supposedly messed up. It's a hell of a lawsuit. Point A, defendants failed to properly preserve the body upon receipt of the remains. Point B, defendants failed to keep his remains in properly sealed refrigeration environment before his service. Part C, defendants failed to keep his remains in an environment free from outside elements, including but not limited to insects, flies, maggots, insects, and insects that would infest the body before his service. Point D, defendants failed to clean and inspect their premises for insect infestation. Point E, defendants failed to inspect, clean, and maintain his body before the service. And finally, point F, defendants failed to make modifications to his display and presentation at the service. This is the summary. As a consequence of defendant's actions, plaintiff experienced pecuniary loss in the way of advance payment from professional funeral services that were ultimately not performed in a professional and sanitary manner and incurred unnecessary funeral expenses and monetary expenses. So they must have charged them. You know, they probably didn't give them their money back, and they probably charged them, or they're saying they was charged for a job that wasn't done. What's messing with that, people? That's horrific. They say the woman's still having nightmares. I could believe that. I could believe that. That's horrible. And it's like, man, so many times you're starting to see this funeral homes just doing the craziest stuff. I don't know if the people that used to have a sense of pride then died and left it to the kids or what. But either way, man, that's crazy. You can't pick money over people, especially when death is inevitable. You're going to make your money because people going to die. And if you do a good job, they're going to come to you anyway. That right there is a serious black eye in the game. I'm going to leave it at that, man. Like I said, may this young man rest in peace. But there's a lot of scars that won't be healed on the side of his family that saw something they wasn't even supposed to see. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.